May 13, 1944. Pearl Harbor. In a dim, smoke-filled room, pencils scratched across paper. Codebreakers worked tirelessly, turning Japanese characters into English. A single message was about to change history. Message from submarine I-16. Rice delivery. Bougainville. Departure imminent. On the surface, it looked routine. But beneath those words, an entire fleet's fate was sealed. Lieutenant Commander Robert Williamson lowered his coffee. He reached for the secure phone. 3 destroyer escorts were ordered to intercept USS England, USS George, USS Raby. No one knew that this decoded message would ignite the most devastating anti-submarine hunt of the Pacific War, a mission that would echo through naval history. The Pacific War had taught America a hard lesson. Japanese submarines were not just weapons. They were lifelines. Cut the lifelines, and whole garrisons would starve. Admiral Samu Toyoda commanded the 7th Submarine Squadron. 7 boats stretched in a deadly patrol line. I-16, RO-104, RO-105, RO-106, RO-108, RO-116, and RO-117. Their mission: detect American fleets moving toward Palau or the Marianas. Hidden beneath the waves, they waited. But something was already hunting them. USS England sliced through Pacific swells at 23 knots. Her Buckley-class hull displaced 1,400 tons. On the bridge, Lieutenant Commander Walton Pendleton studied the tactical plot. England carried 186 men. She bristled with weapons built for one purpose: hunting submarines. 2 depth-charge racks, 8 co-guns, and 1 revolutionary weapon, the Hedgehog mortar. The Hedgehog, 24 barrels mounted forward of the bridge. Unlike depth charges, they didn't explode at pressure depths. They detonated only when they struck solid steel. Each projectile weighed 65 pounds. 35 pounds were pure Torpex explosive. It was British engineering at its deadliest. The math was brutal. Depth charges killed 1 submarine in 80 attacks. The Hedgehog? 1 kill in every 5. A terrifying leap in efficiency. Executive Officer John Williamson knew the numbers by heart. Cambridge educated, a mind wired for geometry and physics. To him, submarine warfare was math. Sound waves raced through water at 4,800 feet per second. Angles, depth, timing, fractions of degrees decided who lived and who died. Meanwhile, aboard the Japanese submarine I-16, Lieutenant Commander Yoshitaka reviewed his manifest. 75-pound rice sacks. Food for soldiers stranded on Pacific islands. He had survived 9 previous war patrols. But supply runs were the most dangerous. Surface ships drew aircraft. Submarines drew destroyer escorts. I-16 displaced 2,180 tons submerged. Diesel engines on the surface. Electric motors underwater. Her 94-man crew had cheated death many times before. But all diesel-electric boats shared one fatal weakness. They had to surface, to breathe, to recharge. And every surfacing was a gamble with death. Across the waves, 3 American escorts advanced. USS George to port, USS Raby to starboard, USS England in the center. Each swept the ocean with SG surface radar and QC sonar. Sonarmen rotated the transducer, straining to hear the faintest echo of steel beneath the sea. David Schoon, sonarman first class, had tracked submarines for 18 months. His hands moved instinctively across the controls. Rotate, pause, listen. Every few degrees, whale songs, thermal layers, schools of fish, and then the faint metallic echo of a submarine hull. Transmit a ping. Listen for the echo. The sonar pulse rippled through calm Pacific water. Perfect conditions for sound. No thermal barriers. No distortion. The ocean was quiet, waiting. At 13:35, May 19th, sonarman David Chun froze. In his headset, the unmistakable return. A submarine echo. Range, 2,000 yards. Bearing 090. He pressed the alarm. Reached for the sound-powered phone. Bridge. Positive submarine contact. Bearing 090. Range, 2,000 yards. Aboard I-16, Japanese hydrophone operators also listened. They heard it too. The metallic ping of American sonar. Closing in fast. Emergency dive. Lieutenant Commander Yoshitaka barked. Ballast tanks vented with violent bursts of air. The bow tilted downward. Seawater rushed in. The submarine began its plunge. 45 seconds to periscope depth. 2 minutes, 15 seconds to reach 100 feet. Every second stretched like eternity. On USS England's bridge, Executive Officer Williamson scribbled on a chart. Target speed, 8 knots. Course, southwest, toward Bougainville. Depth, unknown. His mind raced through geometry. The Hedgehog's effective range, 270 yards. But accuracy depended on math, timing, prediction. One wrong angle, and it was all wasted. At 13:41, England's first attack. 24 Hedgehog projectiles arced into the sky. A perfect spread, 40 yards wide. They splashed into the sea, sinking fast. Silence, no explosions. A clean miss. The submarine had gone deeper, using a thermal layer to mask its position. Williamson recalculated. Adjust depth. Change course. Second attack, 13:58. 3 projectiles set for deeper penetration. Boom. A muffled blast rumbled through the hull. The crew felt it in their chests. One hit. I-16 was damaged, but still alive. Through sonar, Williamson heard grinding machinery, metal tearing. But the Japanese submarine kept moving. Still dangerous. Third attack, 14:10. England's crew braced. Williamson calculated depth at 200 feet. But the fathometer revealed the truth. The sub was at 325. The Hedgehogs passed harmlessly overhead. Another miss. Yoshitaka was proving far more skilled than expected. Fourth attack. The submarine twisted violently. Hard rudder. Change depth 50 feet. Classic Japanese evasion. They were timing American sonar pings and dodging death. 14:33. Williamson made his final calculation. Target bearing, 170. Range, 400 yards. Depth, 250 feet. The Hedgehog salvo thundered. 6 projectiles slammed into I-16's hull. The explosion hurled England's stern out of the sea. Men were thrown to the deck. Below, chaos. Seawater burst through ruptured steel in I-16's torpedo room. Lights flickered, then failed. The bow angled downward. 3 miles of black water waited below. 20 minutes later, the ocean gave back its answer. Debris, oil slicks, splintered wood, life preservers marked with Japanese characters. I-16, and 94 men were gone. Another ghost added to the Pacific. But the hunt was not over. On May 20th, cryptographers cracked another transmission. The entire 7th Submarine Squadron, a patrol line. 7 submarines, waiting across Admiral Halsey's route. RO-104, RO-105, RO-106, RO-108, RO-112, RO-116, and USS England was heading straight toward them. Admiral Toyoda's strategy was sound. Place submarines at choke points, force American carriers into ambush, or delay them with long diversions. The plan assumed something critical, that Americans could hunt 1 submarine, but never an entire squadron. Escort Division 39 received new orders. Commander Hamilton Haines would sweep west to east, 3 destroyer escorts, against 7 Japanese submarines. On paper, the math favored Japan, but numbers didn't account for American radar, sonar, and the terrifying accuracy of USS England's Hedgehogs. May 22nd, 3:50, USS George detected RO-106 on radar, a surface submarine charging batteries. A dangerous but necessary routine. Searchlights pierced the darkness. 5-inch guns swung toward the target. RO-106 crash dived in 38 seconds. But the damage was done. Her position was exposed. At 4:15, USS George launched Hedgehogs. The submarine dodged, slipping below 200 feet. Hydrophone operators had heard the incoming pattern. 10 minutes later, USS England regained contact. Williamson had refined his methods. Factor in evasion speed, turning radius. Prediction 60 seconds ahead. First salvo missed. Second salvo at 5:01 struck true. 3 direct hits. A massive column of water and debris erupted skyward. RO-106's pressure hull was shattered. Ballast systems failed. The submarine plunged stern first into the abyss. All 59 crew lost. 2 submarines destroyed in 4 days. Japanese intelligence was alarmed. American escorts were hunting systematically, using new tactics, using new weapons. Emergency orders spread across the squadron. Radio silence. No surface operations unless absolutely necessary. But the Americans had momentum now. Radar that reached 10 miles. Sonar tracking through layers and currents. And hedgehogs. Weapons that erased the weaknesses of depth charges. Depth charges forced ships to pass overhead. Sonar contact was lost. Submarines could turn, slip away, and survive. Hedgehogs changed everything. Fired ahead while sonar stayed locked. No turbulence. No masking noise. Instant follow-up attacks. May 23rd, 6 o'clock. USS Rabbit detected RO-104 on radar. 250 miles north-northwest of New Ireland. RO-104 submerged within 45 seconds. But 45 seconds was enough. American fire control had her course, speed, and dive point. Between 6:17 and 7:15, USS Rabbit attacked. 4 Hedgehog salvos, all misses. The Japanese commander fought back desperately. Sonar jamming pulses. Random course changes. Depth shifts between 50 and 300 feet. False acoustic targets. Every trick from 3 years of war. And still, the Americans pressed on. At 7:17, USS George joined the fight. 5 Hedgehog salvos. All unsuccessful. This captain was skilled. He used currents and layers to mask his boat. Silent running. Ballast tricks to change depth quietly. The duel stretched on for hours. By 8:19, Williamson prepared his calculation. 2 hours of evasion had drained RO-104's batteries. Compressed air reserves were nearly gone. The submarine would have to slow down, conserve power. And Williamson knew exactly where she would be. At 8:34, USS England attacked. 24 Hedgehog projectiles blanketed the sea. The trap was closing. 12 direct hits ripped into RO-104. Water flooded the engine room. Battery compartments shorted. Her emergency ballast tanks fired too late. 3 minutes later, compressed air cylinders ruptured. A massive underwater blast rolled through the deep. By 10:45, only oil and wreckage marked the site. All 58 crew were gone. 3 submarines destroyed in just 5 days. Impossible odds with depth charges alone. But the Hedgehog wasn't just a weapon. It was a revolution. Early in 1942, depth charges scored kills only 3% of the time. By war's end, maybe 30%. The Hedgehog? 1 kill in every 5 attacks. But numbers told only half the story. The psychological impact was devastating. Japanese crews whispered of American superweapons. Fear spread faster than fact. Intercepted radio traffic confirmed it. Captains begged to leave patrol lines. Morale collapsed as word spread of USS England's impossible accuracy. May 24, 1:20. USS George detected RO-116 on radar. 8 miles. Surface contact. 12 knots charging hard toward the patrol line. The Japanese captain gambled on speed over stealth. It was a fatal mistake. At 1:50, USS England picked her up on sonar. Crash dive in 35 seconds. But Williamson's calculations were already locked in. At 2:14, Hedgehogs roared into the sea. 3, maybe 5 direct hits. RO-116 staggered under the blows. No fireball this time, just the slow, grinding death of the submarine. Sonar picked up bulkheads collapsing. Ballast tanks venting in desperation. Shaft bearings failing as seawater flooded the engine room. For 20 long minutes, England's crew listened. The death throes of a submarine carried through the water. Then silence. RO-116 and 56 men were gone. 4 submarines in 6 days. The Pacific Fleet took notice. Admiral Chester Nimitz requested after-action reports. Admiral Ernest King ordered more Hedgehogs fitted immediately. But the hunt wasn't over. 3 submarines remained. Japan's 7th Squadron was unraveling. Emergency orders went out. Abandon patrol stations, regroup, form a defensive line. Mutual protection was their only hope. May 26. USS Hoggett Bay and 4 Fletcher destroyers arrived. Relief for England, George, and Raby. 8 days at sea. Fuel low. Ammunition spent. But Commander Haynes wasn't done. He asked for one more sweep. One last pass before port. Intelligence hinted another target. RO-108. At 23:04, USS England made contact. Sonar. Range. 1,500 yards. Speed. 8 knots. Course. Southeast. The submarine ran shallow, conserving batteries. Unaware or unconcerned that hunters were closing in. Williamson's math was precise. Target depth, 120 feet. At 23:23, England fired. 24 Hedgehog projectiles slammed into RO-108's hull. The ocean erupted. Phosphorescent bubbles glowed. Debris rose. Battery lights flickered eerily under the waves. Before fading forever, 5 submarines, 8 days. The greatest anti-submarine patrol in naval history. Only one remained. RO-105, commanded by Lieutenant Junichi Inouye and carrying a senior squadron officer as passenger. This boat had a record. She had cheated death before. Dodged torpedoes. Struck at American cruisers. Even rescued stranded aviators. Her crew was hardened. Her captain, tactical and patient. RO-105 was the deadliest submarine left in the squadron. But orders were clear. Withdraw. Head for truck. Refit. Rearm. Replace exhausted crew. Fuel shortages made that retreat risky. Surfacing was inevitable. And American aircraft prowled the skies. May 29th, 21:30, USS George spotted her. RO-105. Surfaced. Caught in the open. The submarine crash-dived instantly, but the Americans had her course. Her position was marked, and the final battle had begun. For 25 hours, the duel raged. USS George hammered with Hedgehog after Hedgehog. Each time, the submarine slipped away. Evasion, silence, currents, layers. This wasn't just another hunt. It was a battle of attrition. And both crews were being pushed to their absolute limits. Our RO-105 twisted and turned. Every 3 minutes course change. Depth shifts between 60 and 300 feet. Silent running. Decoys. every trick in the book. By dawn, May 30th, USS George and USS Raby were spent. Their Hedgehog racks nearly empty. No kills, only frustration. RO-105's captain was brilliant. Ballast tricks, propeller cavitation reduced to silence. False sonar targets. He bought time, but not victory. Commander Haynes had held USS England in reserve, the most lethal hunter saved for last. But after 24 hours of failure, he gave the order, "Oh, hell. Go ahead, England." 0736, May 30th. Williamson had been tracking everything. Depth, 200 feet. Course, southwest. Speed, minimal, conserving batteries. The Hedgehog fired. 24 projectiles plunged into the sea. 6, maybe 10 struck home. At 7:41, the end came. Compressed air tanks ruptured. Seawater tore through every compartment. RO-105 was gone. 55 men lost, including Captain Ryunosu Sako. 6 submarines. 12 days. The 7th Submarine Squadron. Annihilated. Never before, never again, would a single ship achieve so much. Admiral King's promise came true. There will always be an England. In 1960, the name lived again on a guided missile destroyer. But beyond names and legacies, the implications were vast. Admiral Toyoda's grand strategy Operation Ago was broken before it began. Without submarine reconnaissance, Japan's navy was blind. Technology had tipped the scales. 622,000 depth charges built. Yet one Hedgehog, with sonar and radar, proved 10 times more effective. British numbers told the tale. 1 submarine for 60 depth charge runs. 1 submarine for 6 Hedgehog attacks. A 10-fold leap in deadliness. Psychology mattered too. Captured reports revealed shattered morale. Crews once confident in survival now feared impossible accuracy. The ocean itself no longer felt safe. Admiral Toyoda reacted swiftly. Submarines pulled back. Surface ships and aircraft would take their place, but resources were dwindling. The Pacific War was entering its final phase, and none of this devastation would have happened without signals intelligence. Fleet Radio Unit, Pacific. 1 decoded message. 1 rice delivery. That single spark set history ablaze. Williamson's mathematics changed the game. His ability to calculate depth, course, and speed turned submarine hunting from an art into a science. Post-war analysis confirmed it. His methods spread across the Pacific Fleet. Every escort ship now hunted with precision, but the human cost was staggering. 400 Japanese submariners died in 12 days. Not just men years of experience, gone forever. Training a crew took months. Building combat veterans took years. And in less than 2 weeks, that expertise was erased. American losses? 0. Not a single sailor aboard England, George, or Raby was killed or wounded. This wasn't luck. It was technology. It was training. It was leadership at every level of command. By 1944, Japan's submarine fleet was crumbling. 63 boats at the start of the war. Fewer than 30 remained operational. 7 lost in 12 days. Japan's shipyards built 1 sub a month. But America was sinking them far faster. The math was merciless. Attrition would destroy Japan's submarine force long before it could touch American strength. The technology gap was just as lethal. American radar reached 15 miles. Japanese boats had to surface for air and power, making them easy prey. Sonar improvements erased old advantages. Early systems lost contact during attack runs. But USS England's QC sonar never let go. It tracked targets continuously. The Hedgehog was the final piece. Depth charges exploded at preset depths, blinding sonar in turbulence. The Hedgehog only detonated on contact. No masking. No delay. Every miss meant another immediate attack. Every hit meant certain death. It was the weapon submariners feared most. America's industry fueled it all. 600,000 depth charges, thousands of Hedgehogs, launchers, fire control systems. An arsenal designed for one purpose: domination at sea. Training programs churned out operators by the thousands. Sonar specialists, depth charge crews, anti-submarine warfare experts. Japan could never match it. Every year, America's tactical advantage grew larger. Every battle widened the gap. USS England's patrol wasn't just history. It was proof. Proof that technology, training, and intelligence could reshape war itself. In 12 days, 6 submarines fell, and submarine warfare would never be the same again. Signals intelligence, advanced radar and sonar, superior weapons, mathematical fire control, and crews forged by relentless training backed by overwhelming industry. For Japan, the math was impossible. American capability grew stronger. Japanese resources shrank weaker. It was a losing equation. By June 1944, Japan's submarines had no offensive edge. Supply runs, token patrols. The predator had become prey. USS England sailed on through the Pacific War, but never again would she match that 12-day triumph. 6 kills in less than 2 weeks. Her name became legend, a symbol of anti-submarine excellence. Proof that war beneath the waves had changed forever. Navies around the world studied her methods, adopted her technologies. The age of the invisible predator was ending. Admiral Toyoda's Operation Ego pressed forward, but without submarine reconnaissance. And in June 1944, Japan's fleet suffered a crushing defeat. At the Battle of the Philippine Sea, America's carriers sailed freely, no longer stalked by unseen hunters. The ocean itself seemed to belong to them. Williamson's math had left its mark. Science now ruled the seas. Precision replaced intuition. Calculation replaced guesswork. The USS England didn't just sink 6 submarines. She proved the future of war, technology, training, industry. In the Pacific depths, 7 submarines still rest. Their crews remembered for courage, fighting against impossible odds. But their sacrifice marked an ending. No longer could skill alone defy machines. The future belonged to those who built the best weapons and trained the best men to use them.